It's the Captain here with another episode of All About the Bass, and I'm joined by the wonderful Nathan King.
Hello!
Again. I say again, it makes it sound like, it's starting to get repetitive, which it isn't.
Yeah, all right.
I should have said again with more enthusiasm,
whatever.
Shouldn't I? Again!
He loves it. He loves it. He just doesn't know it.
And today, we're staying in our vein of showing you some of the more affordable kind of kit that you can get as a bass player these days, with the newly redesigned Orange Crush bass amp range. So, what have we got?
Well, we got three different models. There's the smallest one, which is a 25 watt practice amp, obviously, with that power. And then it goes up to a 50 watt. That's what's that? That's a 12-inch driver, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then goes up to 100 watt. So obviously that's you could use that for rehearsing, maybe some small gigs. And I think what's that? That's got a 15 in it. Is it? 15-inch driver.
12, 15-inch speakers.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yep. Now, the Crush range, which is a range of guitar amps and bass amps now, they try and position themselves a little bit differently to what many other brands have done. So it's become very fashionable over the last 5 or 10 years to use digital technology, both in preamp sections for modelling and power amp sections to reduce the weight of products and stuff like that. And kind of the digital thing is pretty cool, but there'll always be that guy that kind of harks back to sort of saying, I just want the simplicity of the oldie-fashioned bass amp where I just plug in and I've got some EQ that I'm familiar with. And there's definitely a sound thing. Analog is still, it's got a certain character to it. And I think it's got a certain, how can I say this without sort of, making is it defamatory? I don't even know what the right word is.
Yeah, that could
that
be
a
one
word?
word.
Is it a
word?
word?
It depends what you're going to say next, really.
There are some brands that embrace the digital technology that make these massive claims for how loud they are in terms of how much power they'll produce, and some of the sort of the less reputable digital brands, perhaps will quote very much kind of what I call downhill with the wind behind it sort of power ratings, so it's not uncommon to get a good quality 200 watt rated amplifier that actually you plug in and go, this sounds a lot louder than a 500, this other amplifier that says it's 500 watts. So, wattage and volume are not one and the same.
No, absolutely. It's all relative, isn't it?
It's all relative, and
you get tiny little valve amps, 5 watts, that are absolutely deafening.
Yeah.
So we know that's.
So what we always quite like about the Orange Crush series is that what it lacks potentially in terms of knobs and buttons and modelling and all that kind of whizzy features, it perhaps has in terms of it's just solid and reliable and louder than you might expect. And simple to use, and and that's where Orange have kind of positioned their Crush series. So we've got the 12 mic'd up, but we're going to move the mic around and you can hear different stuff. And we've got a close-up camera on the preamp of the 12. The preamp section of the 12 is exactly the same as the one on the 15, but it does have a couple more knobs on it than the one on the 25, which I'll come back to in a minute. So let's just get some. What have we got? Pretty much everything at 12.
I think everything's flat.
Everything is flat. Can you see me here? Everything is flat, except for we haven't used this gain and blend thing yet. So let's just get some basic flat tones of a clean sounding amp, and then I'll go into some of what it'll do.
Okay, it's a Fender Dimension bass. Everything's set flat on here and just in the centre position. So both pickups. It's all very very straightforward sound wise.
Even that straight away, I know this sounds, terribly old-fashioned, but I think you can hear the sort of the depth and the warmth that you get from just a ye olde fashioned power section.
Okay.
Just kind of, it's not even necessarily the amount of bass, but it's the way the bass is delivered. It's delivered in quite a soft, warm way, as opposed to perhaps some of the digital amps, which I always think kind of deliver it in a slightly harder, punchier.
Yeah, a little more organic.
Yeah, if that is such a word.
It is now. These are organic bass amps.
They're organic bass amps. So let's start with sort of some of the basic features of the amplifier. On close-up cam here, you can see that we've got a volume control, an EQ section with a parametric mid-range, which means that you can adjust the frequency that you are going to boost or cut the level of. And then over here we've got this gain circuit with a blend control, which, if you go back and watch some of the videos that we've done on distortion pedals, the idea is if your signal is 100% has gain applied to it, it sometimes loses some of that clarity on the sort of bass end. So the idea of having a blend circuit is that you can retain some of the clean signal as well as the dirty signal. And we'll show you what that does. So we've got a pad control, which is designed to reduce the input level of the guitar. So if you've got a high output bass like the Dimension is, an active bass, and you like to drive the EQ quite hard on the bass, you can pad the input signal down.
Yeah. So we've got that in on this.
Yeah, and if you've got an old-fashioned P bass or jazz bass, then you take the pad control out and it delivers lots of level. Tuner built in.
Tuner built in, yeah, that's a handy thing.
Yes, I liked Nathan. Be critical. Come on, you said this. You said, can I mention this? And it's like, of course you can. We are nothing if not honest in these reviews.
Okay, well, it was just an observation. All three amps have a tuner built in, which when you think, this one's what 149 quid is great value to get a tuner on your practice amp as well. But it's interesting because it has a switch, like a tuner on switch, that doesn't actually mute the bass signal when you push it in. So it's kind of pointless.
It's almost like, why not have the tuner on all the time?
Just have the tuner on. Well, yeah, exactly. There's no reason not to have the tuner on, I don't think, is there?
Okay, let's get some tones then. So whilst you're playing, you'll be able to see what I'm doing on close-up cam, but I will go through the EQ section first, and then I'll start to wind in some gain and play with the blend control. And if you can just keep us, suitably amused with some funky bass playing, that would be marvellous.
I'll do my best. I don't know how funky it's going to be.
Well, it could be funky or rocky or whatever you want it to be.
All right, let's try a bit of something. Are you ready?
I am.
Hey!
Oh, voila!
Are you done?
Yeah, so that'll give you a good indication as to what you can expect to get in terms of a tonal range from either of these two. The difference obviously being that the 15 with the louder amplifier, the bigger speaker and the bigger cabinet is just going to move more air and give it a little bit more bass end.
Oh, of course, yeah.
We've got an auxiliary input on these, so for jamming, if you've got little drum machine or some drum loops off your phone you want to do, or just a whole song through your phone. You
Just your MP3 player, plug it straight in the back. Yeah.
And a headphone socket with a funky thing on it, isn't it?
Well, it has. Yes, it's got a cab simulated headphone socket.
Yeah.
So it's impossible for us to demonstrate this because you can't hear it. Because if we plug the headphone socket into our system, it's just going to blow it to pieces.
Yeah. So it's kind of. I should say actually that the EQ on the Orange Cross actually has been lifted from, or some of the EQ has been lifted from their 4-stroke series of sort of more pro spec amplifiers. And the cab sim on the headphone socket is designed to emulate the OBC kind of cabinets that they make.
Oh, okay.
But as Nathan says, unfortunately, although that's going to work great to make your headphones sound like you're playing through a really fat, sort of realistic sounding bass amp, as a recording output, it's probably a little too hot and a little bit too noisy to use as a recording output. So hence the reason why we're using the microphone. And of course, as Nathan says, it's because it's a headphone socket. As soon as you plug into it, it cuts the speaker out.
Yeah.
So
it's a great feature, but bear in mind it's got it on the little one, right?
Yeah,
it's got that too. Well, it's fantastic.
So it's a ported cabinet as well. They're ported on the rear. In fact, if I swizz this one round, you can kind of see what I mean. So this little hole here, and that just allows much more air to move, and helps with the when you're trying to sort of tune the bass end on cabinets. The 15 doesn't have a rear mounted port. I've got to be completely honest with you, one would guess that it has a front mounted port somewhere in here. Yeah, in fact I think I can feel it.
It's down here.
Actually, no, I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna guess that it must have a front mounted port somewhere. Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe the bigger cabinet just doesn't need one.
Should we have a look?
It doesn't say.
No, I'm not going to. I'll have a look.
Oh, I see. I thought you were going on the Tinterweb.
Look, what's that?
There it is.
Now that.
You see, I do know what I'm talking about when it comes to these things. Many people think he makes it all up. What else do I like about these? I just think visually, Orange. I often wonder whether or not that the initial part of the attraction with Orange, or some part of the journey between deciding you want to buy an amplifier and eventually buying an amplifier, I think the Orange thing is kind of cool. It's like there's a definite part of me that goes, they've managed to get Orange amps on so many stages around the world with so many cool bands, guitar players.
Well, it's got a great history, hasn't it?
Yeah.
As a company. It goes way back, right?
Yes. Well, Nathan asked me before, what's the deal with Orange? And as far as I understand it, the guy who still owns it now, a chap called Cliff Cooper, lovely guy, won, I don't know if he's OBE or MBE or something like that, but he's won all sorts of Queen's awards for, contribution to export and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, back in the day, he had a guitar shop on Denmark Street, Tin Pan Alley, which, if you're not familiar with that, is kind of like the legendary street in London where back in the 60s all the music stores were. And he wanted to be a Marshall dealer. And Marshall said, you can't be a Marshall dealer because the guy next door to you is a Marshall dealer. So Cliff went, well, sod you then, I'll make my own amps. And
fantastic.
Orange was born, and you can still buy, I don't know when they started making bass amps, but certainly, early Orange stuff you can see being used by Free and Peter Green and.
Cool, right? So certainly early 70s, maybe late.
Yeah,
60s.
I think it was late 60s that he started. Anyway,
right.
Quite why he called them Orange or made them Orange. One would suspect that he probably called them Orange because he made them orange. Sounds like a real 70s
Do you
kind
think
of thing
that maybe
to do.
that's the only fabric they had available, and he just went out?
I don't know. I mean, I'll have to ask him. I see him once or twice a year. I will have to ask him. I'm sure if you go on the internet,
are
you'll
they big in
find it.
Holland? Because it's a very Dutch kind of thing, isn't it? They love orange in Holland.
Do they? Yeah, they
That's
do.
their colour,
It's their colour,
That's
isn't
the
it?
national team's colour.
And maybe Cliff has some Dutch heritage in there. Now we are hypothesising or speculating. Let's move the microphone up to the 8, because the 8 with the, it's much smaller and it has a slightly more limited EQ, so it is going to sound different. It basically doesn't have the gain circuit in the 8.
Right.
And the other thing I wanted to do was just turn it up as loud as it would go,
Yeah.
so that we could kind of try to give you some sort of informed opinion as, does it sound louder than we thought a 50 watt amp would be, or does it sound about what we thought a 50 watt amp would be?
I'm very happy to do that.
Yeah.
I know you don't like loud stuff.
No,
I'm all right with it.
I kind of think it's important that we...
I'm deaf anyway.
Yeah, I kind of think it's important that we throw some sort of subjective opinion
We
into
should, we
this,
should
'cause
suffer for our audience.
We should suffer.
Quite frankly.
So can we be loud, Mr. Cameraman? Thank you very much. So I'm going to turn everything up as loud as it goes.
Are you?
Even EQ, I'm going to just drive a little bit harder.
Oh my word.
I'm going to add some of this gain in.
Are you?
I'm just going to do it.
Are you?
Do you want me to take the pad control out?
No, don't do that. Take the gain off for a start. Let's just let's try and keep it clean.
All right.
Let's have it as loud and clean as we can,
All right.
and then dial in a bit
All
of
right,
nonsense.
okay.
How about that?
Yeah, okay.
Is that a good deal?
Yeah.
Right then. You ready?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
It's not as loud as I kind of. It's loud, but
Yeah.
it's not obsessed. Now, I think what we need to. Can you just turn the volume down on your bass all the way off? And
Yeah.
I'm going to take the pad
Take the pad
control
out,
out,
yeah.
and we'll find the point at which, because I'm wondering whether the pad control is sort of overcompensating.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
let's just do the same again. It's quite hard. I mean, it's not a gigging amplifier, is it? Definitely
No.
not a gigging
Not
amplifier.
at this size.
I kind of think if we were in a room like this, which is like your conventional kind of family living room or bedroom or something like that,
Yeah.
and your buddy brought his little drum kit in and you kind of just went, right, come on, let's just do a jam in here.
Yeah.
I think you'd cope with that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But beyond that, probably not. But let's wind in some distortion, see if it gets a lot louder again.
Not really. It's not.
Not
That's
hanging
just
it.
affecting the
Yeah,
tone.
it's just affecting the tone, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's good. So we've kind of established what you could do with the 50, which is, you know, it's a jamming amp, isn't it? I think
Yeah.
we should say it's a home use or a garage kind of jamming amp.
Well, it's a very nice practice amp. It's a luxury practice amp, you know, and it's
Yeah.
it's not loads more money than the smaller ones.
That's very true. That's very true. Well, how much are these again? 149.
229.
229. Hang on a second. My Apple TV thing's broken. Let's just quickly go to old school mode. You were so right though there, Nathan. Fantastic memory.
What?
The Alzheimer's hasn't kicked in yet. 229 and 369.
There you
so
go.
149, 229,
Yeah.
369. Do you know what? That's a really good shout. When you think there is only a £80 difference between this one and this one,
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think you'd take a view of
Yeah. If you got the extra money,
practice amp.
if you got the extra money and can afford it, then definitely get that.
And this one, small gigging amplifier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, should we whack the microphone up here if we can, please, Mr. Cameraman? Okay, just going to grab you some tones through the little 25 watt one, but just because I haven't shown you yet, here's how the tuner works. So you engage it with this button and then give us a... That's our G string. And we're a little bit sharp.
Spot on. Easy as that.
So it's very, very easy to do. Anyway, here is a little bit of playing from the 25 watt one. What is it? I recognise it. What is it?
He sounds like that.
What? Eh?
He sounds how he sings.
Who is it then?
It's a police, isn't it?
Oh, of course it is.
And the world is coming down.
I feel bad. It's a nice, it's a great bass line. Yeah, I know.
It's a great bass line.
Great bass line. Play a bit more and then we'll swap over.
Okay, something else?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've got this sort of 3/4 of the way up. It's a nice sound, but it's a practice sound. There's no point going. You could you could have a buddy round just with a little guitar amplifier and jam with him.
That's a practice amp, pure and simple.
Yeah, as soon as anybody was to start with a drum kit, it's no good. But I really like the sound of it. So,
sounds good, yeah. I like it, nice and tight.
Yeah. Anyway, cool. And
you're gonna have fiddle with your.
What do you want me to?
Yeah, have a little fiddle with your knobs and whatnot.
Okay.
Just their EQ and stuff.
Yeah.
There we go.
Cool. Yeah. Let's swizz over to the big one.
Big one.
Okay, so we've got the 100 here, which is the 115, and foolish me here, of course, missed the fact that the 100 is the only one of the three that does have the proper balanced DI output. So we're no longer reliant on the headphone output to record with.
Yeah.
So
or go into a PA, of course.
Yeah. So 100%. Obviously, what this does with the 100 is it makes it not only is it loud enough to do a small gig with. The DI output makes it very, very simple to just wang into a PA to get more power to do bigger
Absolutely,
gigs.
yeah.
And you were commenting, one of the things that you've really liked about all three of them is just the basic tone of the...
Yeah, they sound really nice. You know, especially sort of the clean side of it. I think it just sounds very nice.
Yeah.
Very, how can I describe it? Very orangey, kind of round.
Very orangey. Yeah, it's warm, isn't it? It's just a warm, nice bass tone. And for us personally, the best sounds that we're getting out of the drive element of it is with the gain almost off. You know, I'll demo it on here, but blended in quite a lot. But so it's just adding that feeling of a sort of a tube amplifier that's just starting to sort of clip a little bit.
I think that's the whole idea with the blend thing. It's as if it's got a valve stage, and you can blend between the two. I think that's what they're after. You know?
Yeah. So I think the higher gain stuff on this, you know, I don't know if you can remember that bass line that you learnt last month or the month before from that Muse track.
If you give me 2 minutes,
because it's kind of that's. I know that's probably not naturally somewhere that you would go in terms of a distortion sound on a bass amplifier, but it's that kind of sound.
Oh yeah.
So if we get two sounds out of this, we'll get the one with the just the hair on top.
Yeah.
And play whatever comes to mind.
Okay.
And then do the musy kind of style. You know, it's like the heavy, overdriven kind of bass amp sound.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's kind of, there's your little rundown of what the three amps sound like, and hopefully you've decide that you may or may not like one of these, and it may come into your thinking when buying a new bass amplifier, or maybe it won't. You know, hey, that's the beauty of having like hundreds of different brands of amps to choose from these days. So, but we like them. We like Orange.
Oh yeah, certainly worth a look.
Just do some, like, I don't know, some dirty old 70s groove, not groove, but like an old fashioned, more dirty, isn't it?
I feel all dirty. That's good, man. I like that.
I mean, that's relatively nailed on, isn't it? That. Anyway,
Great.
Look, so there you go. Quick squiz through the new Orange bass amp range. come down to Andertons and plug some in for yourself. See what you think. And that's it, really. I've been the captain.
I've been Nathan.
And we shall see you in the next episode of All About the Bass. Good morrow to you, my fine bass-playing friends. Shall we not go with that intro either? Should just tame it down a bit.
It's a bit World of Warcraft, isn't it?
It is a bit.
Oh, right.
All right. Oh, and Pete's made a noise in the background. I was just thinking, look at that.
We'll keep all of this in. It's brilliant.
Pete's extending his
tripod.
Tripod. Yes, we call him the Danish tripod.